To my Democratic friends, you should be celebrating this.
Inflation rises to not 10% a year, but 10% a day.
We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack.
I had lost the election, we would have been Venezuela on steroids.
Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out.
It was an act of war.
I don't understand it. I don't really care.
2026년 1월 3일 새벽 베네수엘라의 마두로가 미군에 의해 체포됐는데요. 오늘 영상에서는 기자회견 내용과 국내 언론에서는 잘 보여주지 않는 각도를 보여드리겠습니다.
In terms of the United Nations and the Security Council, you're going to hear a lot of hand-wringing on Article 2 of the UN Charter, which deals with sovereignty. I will remind everyone of Article 51, which is a nation's inherent right to self-defense. So in this case, you have a drug kingpin, an illegitimate leader, indicted in the United States, coordinating with the likes of China, Russia, Iran, terrorist groups like Hezbollah, pumping drugs, thugs, and weapons into the United States of America, threatening to invade its neighbors.
For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region.
He took decisive action in the interest of the United States.
To my Democratic friends, you should be celebrating this. The number of people that will be alive today because Venezuela will be in different hands is going to be tens of thousands. This is something to be celebrated, whether you like him or not.
Under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Venezuela unilaterally seized and sold American oil, American assets, and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it.
You know, we built it to start off with many years ago. They took it away. You can't do that. You can't do that with me. They did it with other presidents.
Miles de civiles están totalmente felices y agradecidos, que queremos abrazar a nuestra familia, queremos abrazar a nuestros hijos que dejamos allá.
Hubiese sido de que salga del poder estos señores y volvamos a que sea una Venezuela de hace 20, 30 años. Es una gran lástima que mi país, mi tierra, estemos como estamos. No hay salud, no hay educación. No hay libertad de expresión.
We are happy. We see it as salvation, honestly. An American that hasn't lived the terror of socialism will never understand what is going on right now.
The dictator and terrorist, Maduro, is finally gone in Venezuela. People are free. They're free again.
What is your message to the people of Venezuela?
That you're going to have peace, justice. You're going to have some of the riches that you should have had for a long period of time. It was stolen from you. But you're going to have peace and you're going to have safety. You're going to have justice. You're going to have a country. You're going to have a real country. You're going to have potentially a great country. You know, if you go back 20 years, maybe even a little longer ago, that was a great country. And they destroyed it.
다음은 2016년에 베네수엘라에서 미국으로 이민 온 다니엘 디 마르티노가 말하는 베네수엘라 사회주의 정권의 현실입니다.
I can tell you that people are very happy about it because Venezuelans are tired of 26 years of a regime that forced nearly 1/3 of us to leave our country. Inflation rises to not 10% a year, but 10% a day, and then 1,000,000% a year. I had to put my fingerprint in a scanning machine so that the government could tell me what I was allowed to purchase. That is what socialism is in Venezuela. And so, of course, the Venezuelan people oppose Maduro, and of course, we're very happy about his overthrow.
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. Please.
Mr. President, why is running a country in South America America first?
Well, I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to surround ourselves with stability. We want to surround ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country. It's very important that we protect it. We need that for ourselves. We need that for the world. And we want to make sure we can protect it.
Does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, you know, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody.
We have to do one thing in Venezuela, bring it back. It's a dead country right now. It's a country that, frankly, we would have been, if I had lost the election, we would have been a dead country. We would have been Venezuela on steroids. Venezuela right now is a dead country. We have to bring it back. And we're going to have big investments by the oil companies to bring back the infrastructure. And the oil companies are ready to go. They're going to go in, they're going to rebuild the infrastructure.
The main thing you have to fix, it's a broken country. There's no money. There's inflation. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country.
Our interagency work began months ago and built on decades of experience of integrating complex air, ground, space, and maritime operations. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets, in early December, our force was set pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel so, as the president said, they could be brought to justice.
Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And
make sure.
Yeah, exactly. But
don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies, is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know.
Did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Marco, do you want to talk about that? Because you were involved in it.
Sure. We call members of Congress immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, This was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Now, there are broader policy implications here, but it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission.
Plus, if I could add one thing to that, Congress has a tendency to leak. This would not be good. If they leaked, General, I think it would have been maybe a very different result.
People to watch this all play out live. What was Maduro doing when the U.S. forces entered what I assume would be his home? And also, was there any point where the U.S. was considering if Maduro pushed back or resisted killing Maduro?
It could have happened. It could have happened. He was trying to get into a safe place. You know what a safe place is, all steel. And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. They went through the opposition so fast. And there was a lot of opposition. You know, people were wondering, do we get them by surprise? Sort of surprised, but they were waiting for something. It was a lot of opposition. But he was trying to get to a safe place, which wasn't safe because we would have had the door blown up in about 47 seconds, they say on average, regardless of how thick the steel was. It was a very thick door. It was a very heavy door, but he was unable to get to that door. He made it to the door. He was unable to close it.
What did you last speak to Maduro about when you spoke? And is the
Well,
US
I don't want to get
war
into
with
the
Venezuela?
conversations, but I did have conversations with him, and I said, you got to surrender. And I actually thought he was pretty close to doing so, but now he wished he did, yeah.
다음으로 미국 여야 반응을 보여드릴 건데요. 우선 민주당 인사들의 반응부터 보겠습니다. 마약으로부터 자국민 보호, 도둑맞은 석유 인프라 등 국익과 안보에 대한 얘기나 베네수엘라의 자유에 대해서는 언급조차 하지 않고 거의 대부분 이런 워딩을 씁니다. 전쟁, 반헌법적 정권 교체.
This was not simply a counter-narcotics operation. It was an act of war. So, of course, this was the military action. And pursuant to the Constitution, only Congress has the power to declare war, to authorize acts that take place in this regard.
I'm angry on behalf of Americans, on behalf of Congress, and most importantly, on behalf of our service members who were put in harm's way. And this was not necessary. This was not legal. It was never about narco drug trafficking. This was about oil. This was about minerals. This was about regime change.
This is illegal. It's unjustified. It is not in our national interest. And there seems to be no plan whatsoever for what happens next.
I called the president and spoke with him directly to register my opposition to this act and to make clear that it was an opposition based on being opposed to a pursuit of regime change, to the violation of federal and international law, and a desire to see that be consistent each and every day.
And what do you think about the democratic socialists in this country that are picking up steam?
Well, I unfortunately read earlier before this segment the statement of Mayor Zohran Mamdani saying that he actually condemns the attack and that he's thinking of all the Venezuelan New Yorkers. Well, as a Venezuelan who lives in the New York City area, I can tell you we do not stand with Mayor Mamdani. We stand with what President Trump did against the Maduro regime. And I think it's shameful for New York City's mayor to stand with a dictator.
다음은 공화당 의원들의 반응입니다.
I don't see a reason to have any congressional action. This was a very surgical military apprehension for a fugitive. It was not an act of war.
They're just about opposing Trump. That's what they're about. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris put a $25 million bounty on Nicolas Maduro on their way out the door. So what are they complaining about? I don't understand it. I don't really care. Neither do the American people, and neither do the people of Venezuela.
When you have a guy who's not recognized as a head of state, who's head of a narco-terrorist criminal operation, who's cozying up to Iran and China, and he's doing it right here in our hemisphere, bringing that individual to justice, I think that's a good thing. Most Americans think that's a good thing.
Words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation. A massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory of the American warrior. President Trump is deadly serious about stopping the flow of gangs and violence to our country. Deadly serious about stopping the flow of drugs and poison to our people. Deadly serious about getting back the oil that was stolen from us. And deadly serious about reestablishing American deterrence and dominance in the Western Hemisphere. This is about the safety, security, freedom, and prosperity of the American people. This is America first. This is peace through strength. And the United States War Department is proud to help deliver it. Welcome to 2026. And under President Trump, America is back.